Minji Chang, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you being here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
No worries, it's exciting to be talking. I mean, you've done many great things and, a big fan of Songbird and Cyberpunk. So, yeah, I'm sure you've been getting a lot of work and interviews from that character. How's things been for you, feedback wise?
It's been really fun. This is my first and thus far only video game character I played, and it's quite a big one and quite a special one to kind of enter the scene with. So it's been really exciting for me. I'm not familiar with the gaming world, so it's been really
Okay.
fun to see the reaction and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, so you say it's all new to you. Like, what was you expecting when you was doing the audition at the time? What was you expecting it would be?
With the
Yeah.
audition, it was fun because everything's secret, and so I didn't know what I was auditioning for. You just get, your prompts from your agents. There's some code name, and you just go with it, and you do the best you can. You send it out to the universe and see if it comes back to you. And a lot of times it doesn't, so you just kind of get used to it. And sometimes
Yeah.
you keep rolling, and you don't even remember what you auditioned for. So I remember Songbird as an audition sticking out to me because the character itself was very specific. It
Mm.
says Korean American. The lines were very moody. It was like, oh, I don't know what this project is, but it's a vibe. I'm liking
Yeah.
it. It's interesting. So I did my best. A few months later, got a call back. And so I had no idea what I was in for at all. And I didn't know, the size of the character. I didn't know if it was for a tiny, 2 to 5 lines or something, or I didn't know if it was, one of these main characters. I discovered all that after taking the job.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no, of course. I mean, there were so many different endings to the character, and like there was so much going on with her. It's pretty crazy what they can put into all like one update or DLC with what they
yeah,
call it. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you work out it was going to be for like a video game character along the way, reading the script? What was you thinking at the time while you were sort of preparing?
I kind of figured, yeah, you're like
Yeah.
you're kind of a detective when you're doing any of these auditions. You're like, is this like a character in a movie? Is this
Mm,
a cartoon series? What is this? And just again, the vibe of it. There's like something moody and gritty, and the description, very vague description, kind of lent itself to me that, oh, I think this might be a video game character. Um, but I still had no confirmation, but I was kind of picking up on it.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. What was you expecting the outcome to be? Do you think was you thinking it was going to end up like this now, how it is now, or was
Not
you
at all.
thinking it'd be just something completely different? Yeah,
Oh yeah, I mean, in your mind, you don't expect anything big, so you're just again doing the best you can. And
yeah,
I think
best way
that
to be.
professional actor,
Mm,
your attitude, I think it ought to be, what even if it's a one-line character, you give it your all as if you're a main character because that's your role in the whole project.
mm,
There are no small parts, that's what I believe. So I definitely was not expecting her to be
mm,
playing opposite Idris Elba.
yeah,
Like all of it was a really crazy discovery for me. It was really fun, but I was also very intimidated because as I learned about the project, I'm just learning how beloved of a world this is, how huge of a game it is. The fan base is, it's just so crazy how passionate the fan base is, the communities are. So I
mm,
just didn't that at that point I'm like, I cannot fail. I have to do
yeah,
my
yeah.
best and I don't want to let the community down.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
I
a little
mean, it sounds like you're doing really well with supporting the gaming community, so that's good.
yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's been so kind.
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
been
No, of course. So moving on to more about, Songbird, what was her backstory before the events of Phantom Liberty? Did you know much about her before her sort of character appearance and story, if you know what I mean?
Not really. I feel like I was really getting to know Songbird along the way.
Mm,
There's kind of just diving right into the work that we don't have a ton of time to like necessarily build a ton of backstory. So the directors are amazing. I'd say that the people at CDPR are just so fantastic at they built this world and they know the world a million times better than I do. So they're just really trying to get me situated as an actor to understand Songbird's essence, that she's gritty, that she's determined, she's very smart, she's got a bit of an ego. She's sneaky, but she's also in a survival mode. So giving me enough information and story-wise, I was really kind of learning along the way
mm,
all the more detailed backstory parts of her, what happened with Solomon, what's actually happening with the president, things like that. I was just given bits and pieces. So it
Yeah.
was kind of a discovery process. And for me as an actor to kind of take enough information and use my imagination and
Mm.
just kind of go and see where it takes you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, going back to, the whole acting side of things as well, when you started, did you expect to be part of the gaming community? Like, was it something that you sort of wanted for your career? Was it voice work that you were aiming for, or was it mainly on screen TV? Just out of curiosity.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
I was not aspiring for the gaming community. I think for me, my extent of my video game career, if you will, or my interest was like Super Mario Brothers growing
Mm,
up and Tetris and Duck Hunt. I'm totally aging myself, but I was like a
mm,
very original Nintendo console kind of girl. And so my interest and my familiarity with the gaming world was very, very limited.
mm,
And I was honest, like I had friends and old boyfriends who were really into gaming, but from what I had witnessed, it was either extremely sports focused, so it was like Madden or like what's the NBA game, and so it's like
yeah, yeah.
basketball, football, or it's just really violent, like
Mm,
really shooter games and things like that, stuff that I was not interested in,
yeah,
and
yeah.
things that frightened me, to be honest, and some of the things that I thought were a little bit problematic or like a little offensive to me as a woman and things like that. So I again, my knowledge of the gaming world was so limited,
Mm,
and I was not aspiring. But I think this game has just introduced me to that world and seeing how intricate the worlds can be and
mm,
how complex the stories are, the characters, the problems, the challenges, and I think they're so reflective of the human condition,
mm,
which is what I'm interested in.
yeah,
So that has really drawn me in and opened my mind a lot to kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
like be more open and welcoming
So,
to it.
so you ready for more of the gaming world then, would you say? You're ready
I
for
would.
more?
I'm
Yeah.
totally open. Yeah, I think
Mm,
this has been the ride of a lifetime, and I know all games are not made equally. I think
mm,
I got spoiled because Cyberpunk is just like, how do you get better than that? So I invite it, and I think I've been a bit spoiled with like the ultimate in design and story and character and world building.
mm.
So I think I have a pretty high standard right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Do you approve of the violence in video games, would you say, or can it get a bit too much? Because you said you don't like certain, styles before.
I just keep like I personally don't stomach even in TV film. I'm not
Mm,
a big um gratuitous violence person.
mm,
I think it's part of human nature,
mm.
human beings, human species. We're a violent creature, but we're also very peaceful and very
Yeah.
loving and harmonious and collaborative. So there's two extremes. So I just because I don't stomach it well or don't like it, it's not like I think that there's not a place for it.
Mm,
Um, I think the things like you and I, we live in a digital world, right? So
yeah,
I think
yeah.
we're constantly bombarded with media. And me being in media, I think I'm even more aware of like how it's built.
Mm,
And sometimes I think people can lean on it a little bit exploitatively. I think
yeah.
people use it for shock value versus developing a good story. I think sometimes people use it just to get like views and clicks because that generates
Yeah.
money, more than it being an integral part of the story, more than it saying something about humanity. So I think that's where I differentiate. Like if it's just gratuitous for gratuity, like I don't like it. There's
Okay.
something that doesn't sit well with me. If it's for story, if it's to exemplify the heinous nature of humankind, yeah,
Hmm.
like not pleasant to watch, but I will have a lot
Mm,
less issue with it, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it kind
that's
of
kind
depends if it's for like awareness or not, storytelling and yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there's people that just kind of go for it because it's low hanging fruit.
Mm,
And I'm like, that kind of bores me too. I'm like, oh, you couldn't come up with something more creative. You just needed something like hyper violent,
yeah, yeah.
rock value. I'm not
I
really
like that
about
answer. It's good. It's good opinion. Yeah.
that.
Going back to Songbird, what do you think Songbird represents in Phantom Liberty and Cyberpunk?
I think, hmm. I think Songbird is like a mirror reflection of V. I think there's such a kindred spirit and uh a representation of kind of like the overall themes of survival and like how to never give up, even in the most awful of circumstances and times. And there's a double-edged sword, right? Are there times where you should give up or
Yeah.
just keep fighting to survive no matter what and at what cost? So, yeah, I think there's something very relatable about Songbird. I know a lot of people don't like her character, understandably so. You're betrayed or lied to, and nobody likes that. I think that's also a point of reflection for humanity. I don't think we're always all truthful or transparent about what our agendas are. So I think there's a lot to kind of like bounce off. I think
Mm,
it's just about survival and hopefully like tenacity. There's a vulnerability to Songbird. She's a very tortured soul and she's like figuring things out in real time, which I think everybody on this
mm.
planet is doing as well.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to what you said about the mirror reflection or V, I mean, it sounds like there could be more of a deeper relationship between them there. Do you think?
Yeah, I know a
Yeah.
lot of people want that.
Mm,
I didn't know anything about the nature of the relationships within the cyberpunk world.
yeah.
So it's been cool to like learn about that and to understand how that all works.
Mm, mm. I know her name is obviously Songbird as we're talking about now, but do you think there's a deeper meaning to the name? Do you think there's a deeper story for her name as well?
I'd like to think so. I think even if it wasn't intentional, I think a lot of I'm very much a believer of like everything happens for a reason. You don't arrive at a name without it ultimately kind of influencing or meaning something. I think yeah, Songbird to me, it still has a bit of a positive. It's not some dark and ominous name. Songbird also to me reflects song, like singing and like and people singing like like outing things or like revealing things. I think birds are kind of can be warnings. They can be messengers. They can be signs of hope. So
Mm,
to me, I think Songbird, that's the way I related to her.
okay.
Um, to
You brought the
find some,
nature side into it as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I love nature, and I think it's very revealing of our world.
Yeah. How do you think she ended up working with the FIA and President Myers, would you say?
How do I think she ended up
Yeah.
working?
Yeah.
The way that I think Songbird is she's she's very tenacious as much as she can be, as much as she's equipped to be. And
Mm,
that's what I think is really interesting about any person on their life journey. You go through seasons. You're learning at each point you're live, you're like a product of every moment that came before, and you don't know what the next moment is. So Songbird does not know what the consequences of her actions are going to be. She's
mm,
simply, again, survival mode or like doing the best she can with what she's got. So personally, for me, I think the whole President Myers thing is very like back against the wall to like trying to figure out how can I stay alive or create opportunities to like uh I just survived. Like how can
mm.
I navigate this like impossible situation or this like can it curse just like the shit situation
Yeah. Yeah.
that I might not have volunteered for and roll out of bed and like do this on my own volition, but here I am. What do I got to do?
Mm,
And what can I do for my own survival? Like period. So
mm.
that's the way I think that she ends up in that situation. It's not like a happy,
Yeah. Yeah.
happy
It's very
situation.
depressing, isn't it? Yeah. I
It's
think
very
we all
depressing.
got emotional at the end. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
and
didn't
it's
want her
just
to
like
die. Yeah.
you got to do what you got to do, or it feels that way at least. Even
Mm,
if there are other options available to you, I think most people, again, we're working with what we know,
mm,
so we're gonna do the best we can. And in that, I hope that there's some level once we discover all the different endings and like what was really going on, that there can be some relatability or empathy.
mm,
I think that's what good characters do. They're
mm,
flawed. Um, and you don't know everything that they're going through,
mm,
much
mm,
like we're
mm,
walking out in the world and we don't know what anybody else is going through in this life, why they made the decisions that they did. We can agree or disagree or judge, and they can be totally valid. And at the same exact time, you really don't know how they arrived
mm.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
No, of course. I mean, at the end it was a shame because when we first started the story, it was like it was such a buzz and energy to get something done and get the mission accomplished, and then it's just this whole complete twist and turn of the storyline. So I guess that's
Yeah.
what gets us going in reality. If I'm on the right page as you.
Yeah. I think that's again, they designed the world really well. They wrote a great story, which is life throws some curveballs at you. You don't know really what you're in for until you're in it, and you
Mm,
just gotta figure
yeah.
it out. And I realized that as an actor that you're spending so much time. You're like
Mm,
really working with these characters. They're such a like, you know what I mean? Like they're a partner and they're a friend and they're a confidant or whatever. They're like they're on this journey with you. So I feel like it's such a different relationship in the gaming world,
mm,
watching a character on screen somewhere.
mm.
They're just
How,
more like observational.
how do you think you would have liked to have Songbird survive? Like, what would you have liked her ending to be if you had thought about that?
I mean, I don't know. I can be like in general, my vibe and my taste with like films are about endings with hope. Not
Mm,
necessarily all a happy ending, although I do love a good happy ending.
yeah.
I think having a glimmer of hope is all we can kind of ask for. If there's some way that she made it to the moon and, was able to, to actually have survived at this, after all this harrowing insanity and this chaos, I would love that.
Mm,
The ending that I gravitated towards, though, or I think that sank in the most with me was the one where V cuts the cord.
yeah.
And maybe there's something about that tragedy that like hit me different,
Mm,
which is ironic because I'm a person that loves like happy, hopeful endings.
mm,
There's something in that way for her in this story to have some semblance of just that quiet, that peace, just to end it. And
yeah.
I'm not a person that was like, I want people to pull the cord. I want people to fight to survive. But I think in this story, there's something about her character and the way that that all transpired. That was the ending that I kind of gravitated towards,
Mm, mm.
like felt the most by.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but do you think like, Songbird sort of deserved to be saved after all the destruction from her character?
That's hard for me to answer because
Mm,
I who am I to determine that? I'm that's kind of the way I think. I think I don't know how to answer that. It's like she deserved to survive. That's where I
mm.
think the whole empathy thing
Yeah,
comes in.
yeah.
Who's to
And that's
say
why you
what
want,
anybody
yeah.
deserves, you know?
Mm,
If you feel for somebody, that's amazing. It's like you can see the humanity in them or see that there's a soul or somebody worth saving. And there's people that I think are horrendous, but I wonder if they're really like human face to face with me, would I think so,
mm,
awful,
yeah.
wishing bad things for them. Um, could they be redeemed? Could they have something within them that's like worth saving?
Mm,
So I feel really fortunate that people are so kind or like feeling for Songbird and want to save her. Even though like there's all this betrayal and this chaos and destruction
yeah.
that happens. Yeah, I don't know. Something about that gives me some hope for humanity. And it's also very understandable that there are people that are very angry towards my character and say mean things. And I have to
Mm,
separate, like, okay, they're talking about Songbird, not about
yeah.
me.
Yeah. No, that's good. What do you think she would have done next if she did escape? Just chilled on the moon.
Oh, she's kind of a wild card, isn't
Yeah,
she? Um, I think she'd still keep fighting.
yeah.
I'm saying this because I'm also like, because her character is Korean American, and so am I. That was something very specific that I think that they baked in. Hopefully, I could infuse into the character. For me, my decision as a character, as an actor, is Koreans have a very, very fighting spirit. We've
Hmm.
been colonized. We've been, people have tried to eradicate our people, our language, everything. There's kind of an innate desire to fight back and to not give up, whether we like it or not. That's something that I kind of get annoyed at.
Mm,
Um, you don't want to leave things to unjust means, or like if there's some kind of like something that you can do about your situation. I have that instinct to like keep fighting.
mm,
You you do not back down. Even if you need to take a break, fine. But
Yeah,
that's why I want to believe
yeah.
Songbird of that same, because there's no way she could have gotten to where she is in that in the story that we meet with her if she didn't.
Mm,
So I feel like it's not like, kind of disappearing into the darkness, although that could very well be the outcome. But I
mm,
want to believe that even if she does disappear for a while, she's going to come back, and
mm,
there's going to be a continued fight for righting the wrongs, or like, or I don't know, wreaking havoc in a specific way
mm.
she decides is right,
Yeah.
either for justice or revenge or whatever. Um, I want to believe that she's not just going to disappear into the ether. I
Mm.
want to believe that she would somehow come back swinging.
Okay, okay. That's cool. I
Using
like that.
love for
I
her
like that
smart.
idea. It
Yeah,
sounds um
that's how I want to believe Songbird is.
it sounds like you still relate to the characters in some ways with what you're explaining. So, yeah, do you think
Yeah,
there's still somehow a connection? I know you are Songbird and you are her character, but do you think there's some sort of, do you think you relate to her?
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think there was something. I've gone through a lot of things in my life. I've met good and bad people. I've had to, not in the same intensity as Songbird, but had to make decisions, again, not knowing what the consequences would be, doing the best I could, regretting some of them,
Mm,
being versions of myself that I'm not, like, screaming from the top of the mountains proud of. And so those connections, I think, on a very basic level, even though it's a complete made up character in a very crazy dark world, that's something I could connect with. And when in the description, her grit and her humanity, her soulfulness, I could connect with that. And that's how well written she was, I thought,
mm,
by CDPR. So that was up to me to decide and try to convey in my voice or infuse. And so therefore I feel like she changed me. I think
okay.
that's what happens with great characters. We feed each other. I
Yeah.
learned something from her by going on this journey, by experiencing the things that you do. And um, I'll say this is a nerdy actor thing. Your body doesn't know the difference between make believe and real life. If you are
Mm,
feeling the feelings, your body kind of went through it. You're being
yeah,
experienced
yeah. You went through
fair
the
that
emotions.
pain. Yeah,
Mm,
and so experiencing Songbird's pain. I don't want to get too woo about it, but that's genuinely how I approach it as
yeah.
an actor. And I'll say she's still, I'm very proud to have played her, and
Mm,
like honored to have been part of that universe and to even have learned from her
mm,
chaos. There's
yeah.
something that I feel like I walked away feeling like she changed me.
Yeah. Did you
And
find portraying the emotions quite challenging then? Was it quite sort of a lot and full on to read, would you say, reading through the script?
the yelling, the screaming part was like physically exhausting, and it's
Mm,
challenging because it's just a microphone and I'm not allowed to stray far from it. I have to be
mm,
very
mm,
physically situated. So having to yell and duck and cover, whatever, like be physically maneuvered but still fixate on the
mm,
microphone was pretty hard. But the
yeah.
emotional stuff I loved. I
Mm,
really I feel like that's the best part of being an actor, is being able to fully
yeah.
let go and just be an unhinged, untethered person or
Mm.
being.
Were you sort of allowed or given permission to adjust any of this script while reading, or did you just have to stick with what they gave you? Because
I
some
had
some
to
some places you're allowed improvements or to change it. You know,
Oh, I
that's what
didn't
I've
know
heard of it.
that. So
Maybe
I was,
on the
I
smaller
wanted to,
jobs.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I very much respected CDPR. They're very impressive production.
Mm,
And there's something about that environment that I wanted to very much respect and have reverence for the writers.
mm,
They're very agile. They're like definitely building the world and making adjustments as needed, but I
mm.
definitely did it. I didn't cross that line. I
Yeah.
was like, I think the line would be better if
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Might have been a
yeah.
bit yeah, okay. Yeah, just go with it. It's a good payday at the end of the day, isn't it? So
It's just like I'm happy to be in the room. So I was
mm,
like, you know what? I'm in good hands. And that's what I think is so cool about creative work.
mm,
We get to collaborate. It is extremely collaborative. I know that sometimes actors or directors or whoever can get kind of more shine as if they're the ones really conducting the whole thing.
yeah.
But the best works that, things that people, obscure things that people will never know about, short films that I did, or something as big as Cyberpunk. The things that bring the most beauty to the world are the ones that are highly collaborative, and there's a respect of each person's craft. And I think Jen, it's the same thing. There's no small parts.
Mm.
When I heard Songbird, the voice is my voice, but it felt very separate from me
Yeah.
because
Okay.
the audio engineers, the who did the sound design for
Yeah.
Cyberpunk, my brain melted. I was like, this is so cool. It was so immersive. Like,
Mm.
that is a very highly technical thing that I have nothing to do with. I'm just there
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
the lines and provide emotion.
Yeah.
They're the ones who help put you and me into that world through the sound design. The music is so good. Like,
Yeah.
all of it creates the
The way it all
experience.
fits in. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was really, really cool.
Yeah. It's definitely CDPR vibes
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
got to visit Poland. They invited me out to Warsaw.
Oh
So
wow.
I got to experience that. And then once I was there, I was like, oh, all of this makes sense.
You got to visit where, sorry?
Yeah, Warsaw
Oh, okay.
to Poland, where I got to go to their headquarters.
Oh wow, wow. What's
Yeah.
the experience like in more detail? Was it like sort of, I bet it was a different atmosphere.
It was my first time in Poland.
Mm.
And I mean, what a place to go to, especially Warsaw. I mean, there's so much history there. As soon as I deplaned, I felt like I was in a completely different universe.
Mm.
And I could feel I'm a very sensitive person, but I could really feel um the heaviness, not, like there's a lot of heaviness and a
Yeah.
lot of determination and strength in that country. Like,
Okay.
I don't know all of world history, but I know enough, and you can just feel like these people, this place has been through a lot.
Mm.
And so I feel like that grit, and that, like, there's dirt under their nails, and everyone's so kind and warm, even despite I was in there in
What they've been
January. It's
through.
like
Yeah.
snowing and freezing cold. The warmth of the people, and also this like down to earth groundedness, like you could just feel it in the earth and in the space.
Mm.
And I loved it. I loved it so much. I thought the food was incredible. Everyone was so kind. And so really getting to see that, I think it made the cyberpunk game and the world make a lot more sense
Yeah.
of the ethos and like the energy and this like determined will to survive. I was
Mm.
like, oh, I get it. So
Yeah.
it was really cool. And I'm also a Silicon Valley girl. I grew up, in the Bay Area. So to see a gaming company with all of their technology and all of that cool stuff in Europe was like, it was
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds pretty intense though at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
I
a
don't
lot of
know if
emotion.
everyone else would have the same experience I
Yeah.
did. I got to roam around the city and kind of
Mm.
go to museums and like really,
How long was you out there for? Was it a long time or?
about 4 days, 4 or 5
Okay.
days.
Oh wow.
But I'm an intense traveler. I like to like soak up the places that I go to
Mm.
as much as possible.
Yeah. So do you prefer longer then? Usually.
I would love to visit again.
Yeah.
I'm like, please invite me to
Yeah.
another. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, of course. So how long did it take to finish Songbird's character? Just out of curiosity.
It was about 9 months of
Mm.
recording, but I was not recording every day.
Mm.
It was over a dozen, under 2 dozen sessions. So
Okay. Wow, that was a lot.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Did you do much motion capture?
I can do
As a
any.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like somehow the character still looks like you a little bit though, in a good way.
Does it? Okay, because
Yeah.
that's very fly. I think Songbird is so beautiful, and yeah,
Well, so you.
I would never dare to be like, oh, like, but if it does, I'm flattered. And no,
Mm,
I was curious if there would be mocap, because something like as an actor you'd want to try, but I didn't get to do it.
okay. Can we expect anything from you coming up film wise? Can we expect you to be in any projects? Yeah, what's next for you?
I'm really putting on my filmmaker hat. I think all of these experiences have given me more motivation to just try telling the stories that I want to tell.
Mm,
And yeah, so we'll see. That the film world, I'm writing and producing things, hopefully, and I will put myself in them as much as I can. I want to act, and if I
mm,
fit the characters. So I would love to continue on-screen stuff. I am so open to video games. I still audition. I have not been booked for any video games since Cyberpunk. Um,
Okay.
so personally, I love Songbird so much. So if that's it for me, I'm not gonna cry about it. I
Yeah,
think
sometimes it's nice to be known for just that one title, isn't it? I mean, and some people have that, and it's something to always remember with that.
I
Yeah.
will always be honored. I'm never gonna complain that I didn't
Mm,
get to do anything else. I'm like, I got to do that. Leave me alone. I'm
mm.
done. Like it's great. But I
I'm sure you'll
also
get more though. I'm sure you're gonna want want
thank,
to be in more video games, and yeah,
thank you, Lord. I hope
got
so.
got a unique voice for it. It's good.
Thank you. Speaking of voice, though, like I continue to, do voiceover like commercials and stuff for a living. But one of my new ventures, I am excited to share. I haven't announced it officially on socials or anything yet, but I'm starting a meditation channel.
Okay.
Um, I've been hired to do things like that, and I want it to be something unique and authentic as we keep going more into this digital robot world with AI and all that stuff. I kind of, yeah, that's something that I'm excited about personally, and I
Mm,
felt really shy about sharing, but um, yeah, I want to help people feel better. I want
yeah.
people to feel like they have a friend. So it was interesting. Somebody was like, "Do a meditation as Songbird," and I was like, that would be interesting. So we'll
Well,
see. I'm gonna start
sounds
my own.
sounds fun. It sounds like it'd be a good thing, for people to watch and tune into and get involved with. So,
I
yeah.
hope so. I hope it's just valuable. I think we're in crazy times and like life's always been crazy. I think it's kind of particularly crazy right now. And so we need all the support we can get
Mm,
to like, I have a lot of anxiety. Um, and yeah, I need all the help I can get to kind of take a breath and
yeah.
just deal with day-to-day life.
What
So
are your ways of, just in a bit of detail, what are your ways of helping yourself for anxiety? Just to, um, what do you
I'm
do
still
to help
working
with
through it,
it?
Lloyd, real time. I mean, I've tried um kind of every healing modality under the sun.
Yeah.
I'm very open, so I'm like, I'll never Reiki or hypnotherapy or mirror work or all these things. I think we're really feeling creatures. I think we can all benefit from remembering that. Like we have very logical minds and we think my brain is like constantly going. I have tons of ideas, tons
Mm,
of to-do items. And I think kind of getting back in our bodies and remembering we are feeling creatures and um, we have a lot of emotional influence. So kind of touching into our hearts and whether that's through music or like journaling stuff. All those sound very stereotypical recommendations, but they're they work. They're
yeah, they
cliches,
do,
they
yeah.
work.
Mm,
And it's up to us to kind of do them. And sometimes we're gonna have to go to a really shit place before we are motivated enough to like go into our feelings.
mm,
Uh, so I try to balance the two. I hope that everybody is like curious. Um, I can be very hyper analytical. So I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound like it would work. Or, oh, that sounds like a waste of time. I like judge
okay.
things before I even try
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
So what I'm doing for my own life in my anxiety is just to be open. Like give it a shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if
Yeah,
it does,
yeah.
like you just found something to help you basic breathing. Like
Mm,
I hold my breath a lot because I'm so anxious. I'm like thinking, thinking, thinking. And I realize like I haven't breathed for
mm.
like a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
basic stuff like that. And that's what, I've leaned on YouTube and TikTok and all these creators who they make content to try to help people
Mm,
settle back in, take a breath and or just give you a pep talk and say like,
mm.
you're fine, you're actually okay. And we need that human voice, I think, that
Yeah.
human element to like ground us and be like, I got you.
Mm,
You're not crazy, you're not alone. You're gonna be okay. And
mm.
sometimes it's that, and then you can snap out of it and get on to the next moment. Sometimes you need more than that, and therapy and whatever is really helpful. But I'm sharing a very vulnerable part. But yeah, I have between moderate to severe anxiety
Mm.
lately. I think this last year has been really anxiety ridden. So
I'm
a
sorry
little
to,
bit about me. I'm just
yeah.
trying to do my part to help folks.
I'm
'Cause
sure you are. I mean, you're doing a lot of stuff, and the meditation, the plans for that as well. That's going to help a lot of people. And
yeah.
even you talking about it now is going to help a lot of people. So,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
yeah, no, I really appreciate it that you're sharing. Yeah,
Well, I appreciate you even inviting me. This is really
yeah,
cool to know that Songbird has made, an impact. Um, yeah, I love her so much. I feel
yeah.
really, really lucky that I got to play it, and I'm glad that people examine her and examine life and themselves. I think that's the best thing an actor can
Hmm.
experience is that something that they did prompted a deeper conversation
Mm.
and
Yeah.
introspection. Like I love that.
Yeah, no, of course. Amazing. Minji, thank you so much for coming on. It's been amazing chatting. Is there anything else you would like to say to your fans, or I know you just said a lot.
I
um,
did say a lot.
in a
No,
good
I
way.
think
It's
it's
good.
there.
Content is
Yeah.
good. So yeah,
I just want people to hang in there. I
yeah,
think, yeah, that's what I've learned. Life is rough and there's also a lot of good, but just hang in there and
yeah.
get through
That's
it.
right. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Lloyd.